Hi, my name's Steve Boffman, and I'm here with a woodshed lesson on arranging Irish harp tunes for solo steel string guitar, one of my big passions in life. And I'll be talking about my arrangement approaches, how I find the tuning I want, and some of the tools and tricks I use to try and give harp music an authentic voice on the guitar. I'm going to be using a tune from the old Irish harper Turlough O'Carolan, lived 1670 to 1738, blind from smallpox, and after he went blind, he took up the harp and spent the rest of his life traveling around Ireland, writing great tunes. And we're going to be using one of his pieces called Squire Wood's Lament on the refusal of his halfpence. That's a mouthful. I'm just going to be referring to it as Squire Wood's. I first learned about Turlough O'Carolan when I was a student in Santa Barbara, and there happened to be a specialty folk harp music store in downtown Santa Barbara, and I would hang out there when I was supposed to be studying, and they turned me on to Turlough O'Carolan, and it has been such a life-enriching experience for me, and I'm excited about sharing some of my approaches and Squire Wood's with you. So, let's get down to business. One of the first things I have to deal with, and you'll have to deal with anytime you want to arrange an Irish harp tune for the guitar, any Celtic tune, or pretty much any tune for the guitar, is what tuning am I going to be in? And there's really not a whole lot of magic in my approach. It's all a big mystery because I don't know how I go about finding the tuning, but I just have the melody in my head, and I start trying to pick the melody out, and usually whatever tuning my guitar might happen to be in that day, and I'll start turning knobs until I happen upon a tuning that works. It's not quite that haphazard because in this particular piece, Squire Wood's, I am in G, open G. I've got a capo one, we'll talk about that in a second, but I'm in open G tuning for the first 5 strings. And my 6th string is a C. So we get this nice G sound, but then we got a nice 4 chord in the bass. Those of you who know my music know that I've been really into Orkney tuning all these decades. And Orkney tuning is exactly this: C, G, D, G, C, D. But I didn't want to use Orkney for this because it would have been really stupid. You know why it would have been really stupid? It would have been really stupid because the whole Squire Wood's lament for the refusal of his halfpence does not have a C note in the melody. So there's a really good reason not to use a tuning with C in it. But beyond that, I just fooled around till I came up with this. Interestingly enough, 2 other people have recorded, that I know of, have recorded Squire Wood's on steel string guitar, and guess what tuning they use? Completely independent. All 3 of us came up with these tunings independently of each other. We're all doing our arrangements in this tuning. That's wild. Now I have to confess, I was heavily influenced by the Squire Wood's arrangement by a wonderful guitar player who happens to be also a law professor, Alex Stone Sweet. I listened to his arrangement a lot, but when I sat down to do my own arrangement a few months ago, I didn't know what tuning he was in. I didn't care what tuning he was in. I was just trying to find the best tuning for my own arrangement, and it happened to be open G with a C in the bass. And Keith Hinchcliffe, wonderful British Isles Celtic guitar player, same tuning, and he didn't know my arrangement or Alex's arrangement, and he came up with it. So it's just weird how it happened, but there's obviously something about this tuning that really helps give this piece of music a voice. Okay, so there we are. C, G, D, G, B, D. Okay, once you get in tune, we can move on. You may have noticed, as I mentioned, I have capo on the 3rd fret. That is just something I do because I like the way it sounds there. There's no theory to it. Some people, you can play this arrangement without the capo on. I'm going to be calling these notes as if there were no capo. So I'm going to be calling that a G and this a D and this my C chord, but they're not because they're capoed. But you can do it without the capo. 3rd fret capo, as you may know, makes it really crazy being up here because the dots don't work anymore. But I just found it to be a trade-off that I was willing to make because I like the way this happens to sound on this particular piece. So don't read too much into it, and feel free to disregard the capo if it's not sounding the way you want, or you just don't like what it does to your dots. One of the most important things for me in arranging Celtic stuff, harp stuff for guitar, is ring out, ring out, ring out. I want that cascading, gorgeous, full sound where every note lives a full life before it is snuffed out by the next note or the next finger move. So what I use a lot in this is a technique called Campanella. Those of you who saw the woodshed lesson from Luke Edwards, the fine Welsh guitar player, recently in Acoustic Guitar Magazine, he discusses Campanella in more detail than I'm going to here, but the basic idea, it's also called harp style, believe it or not. I used to call it nonlinear style. Doesn't matter what you call it. The basic idea is that whenever possible, or at least almost whenever possible, avoid playing two melody notes on the same string in a row. What do I mean by that? Well, watch this. I could start Squire Wood, the first three melody notes like this. Third string, third string, third string, right? And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that, but I like it so much more instead of this, where every note kills the note right before it. I do it like this. Versus. Right? That's Campanella, harp style, nonlinear playing, and you'll see me doing it a lot, and it's right there in the first three notes of this tune. I'm not trying to be dogmatic about anything that I tell you in this lesson, not even about Campanella. It's just something I like a lot. I do it almost every time I can when I'm playing a harp tune, but when I was working on my recent Once Upon a Harp solo guitar album, arrangements of Turlock O'Carolan tunes, my brilliant music mentor, Jody Stecker, I told him, I'm going to do a whole album of just harp style guitar, really nailing this harp style stuff. And he said, why do you want to play a harp with only 6 strings on it? Play a guitar. And that was really wise advice, because we really aren't trying to sound like harpers here. At least I'm not trying to sound like a harper. I'm trying to take some of the essence of a harp and give it a voice on the guitar. And so clearly I'm going to use guitarisms and not just full-on harp style playing. But Campanella is going to be something that you'll see me do more often than not, overwhelmingly more often than not, as we do Squire Woods. So with Campanella, we're really using it to create a flow in the melody. There's another thing I do to help with the flow is I will not have my bass strings always on the downbeat. So you'll see this early in the piece where I start bass on the downbeat, bass on a downbeat. Let me do that again and then I'll go over it. Downbeat, downbeat. So of all the bass notes there, downbeat, downbeat, not downbeat, and then back to downbeat. The reason I do that is because I think that if the thumb is constantly doing downbeat stuff, you're going to create a little hint of marchness. And this piece really does not want to be a march. In fact, very few of the Carolan pieces really want to be played sort of pa-ish. That flow is really enhanced by every once in a while not having your thumb on the downbeat. You don't want to overdo the offbeat thumb stuff because your audience can get disoriented around where the downbeat is, and they can get nauseated, and it can induce vomiting, and you really don't want your listeners vomiting while you're playing. I mean, unless you're doing some sort of weight loss guitar thing. But really, throw the offbeat thumb stuff in once in a while just to help with the flow. It's a lovely thing to do. So let me demonstrate that one more time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and a downbeat, downbeat. Okay, all clear? Let's move on. I don't want to be overly dogmatic about this next thing, but I feel kind of strongly about it. I think it's one of the worst things a human being can do. So when you're playing Irish harp tunes on the guitar, avoid the bar. Bar is bad. Barre is really a quintessential guitar sound. I remember learning Smoke on the Water as a kid. I still love it, but that's such a guitar association that, to me, when a guitarist throws in a full 6-string bar playing a harp tune, I just get taken out of my harpiness and I get drawn into seeing, oh, this is a guitar, and it sounds unidiomatic to the harp thing. So let me demonstrate how I avoid that. It's very tempting in this arrangement of Squire Woods to play that C chord like this, or just a five-string bar. But we lose a lot with bar. It's not only that it sounds like Jumpin' Jack Flash or Smoke on the Water, it's that you wind up killing the notes immediately before, and you lose out on ringing open string opportunities while you're holding the bar down, and you lose out on some open string ringy stuff opportunities when you come out of the bar. So watch how I avoid this. Really tempting to just play it like that, because that's a lot easier than this. But the sound is really different. Let me show you what I mean. Rather than playing the C chord like this, or this, I'm going to play it like this, and watch what I can do with it. Stuff I wouldn't be able to do with a bar. Here it comes. If I were playing that as a bar, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. All the notes would sound a little more staccato, and they wouldn't have that lovely ring out, and I would lose opportunities on the way out because the notes that I'm trying to play would die early, and it's like the bar closes early, and who wants to go to a bar that closes early? Just stay home and do this. You get a lot of ornament opportunities. Watch what I'm doing here. I'll talk about these ornaments in a second, but just note that I could not be doing this if I were barring. Watch. If I were going, it's fine. No one's going to ask for their money back if you do that at a gig, but way sweeter. So try to avoid the bar and just stay at home and play pretty ring out stuff. I would be guilty of guitar teacher malpractice if I didn't talk about ornaments when I'm sharing Celtic harp arrangement stuff on the guitar. Ornamentation is a huge part of the whole Celtic tradition. The pipers train for months before they're allowed to even play a melody. So ornaments is also something that we want to bring to our guitar playing. Of course, we've got the usual hammer-ons and pull-offs, but I want to introduce you to one in particular. Luke Edwards, the woodshed guy from, I think, the last issue, talks about this ornament also. I call it a Scottish snap. Luke calls it a cut. I'm going to call it a cut too, just because that's way fewer syllables and takes up less time. But it is not a pull-off. It is not a pull-off. The first note has its own rhythmic identity. In a cut, you're really snapping. Watch what I do on that C chord. Do you hear that? Again. What I'm doing is I'm holding a string down. It really doesn't matter which fret I'm at. But since I'm at this fret anyway, it's we also did that in the opening notes of the tune. Right? We're announcing a Celtic ornament right at the opening. Let me do it again. It would be totally fine to go. doesn't sound as good as... Okay, so the cut, the Scottish snap, really, really important parts of your and my harp arrangements on the guitar. Again, anywhere you are, if you're going to play a melody note on an open string, there's a potential opportunity for a cut. Don't overdo it, but don't underdo it either. Those of you who have heard my Celtic guitar arrangements of harp stuff know that I do a lot of call and response, where I play the melody note with the treble strings, and then I'll throw a little bass wiggle in just to add a little flavor. I use a lot of hammers and pulls on those, mainly hammer-ons. But let me demonstrate how I do it in Squire Woods. We're about, I don't know, halfway through the A part. Let me do that again. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, and 1. Right, the melody is. But I got. I don't know whether that's a harpy thing to do or not, but it's a cool thing to do. Finally, let me show you what I do in one section of Squire Woods. It's a little tapping technique. Some of you may be way more advanced at tapping stuff than I am. And I don't use it a lot with the Celtic harp stuff, but it really fits here with Squire Wood. The album where I recorded the whole tune has a whole section, a whole A part of the tune, where I'm just doing tapping. But I threw a little example of it in at the end of the video that you just saw when I did the tag at the end. Here's how I played the end. Instead of... I went... That's the whole section. The tapping part is... What I like about that is it's a nice, gentle sound when you can create a note without needing your right hand to help, your picking hand to help you out. And that's exactly what's going on here. One more time. Those are techniques that I've had a lot of enjoyment in life with. Make them your own. There's no formula for when to use these ornaments or these tools or these techniques. The big thing I'd like you to take from this is let this piece breathe. We don't want to be creating a march-like feel. We don't really even want people tapping their foot to this. Just let it flow. It can speed up. The rhythm, the tempo can wax and wane. Breathe while you do it, and make it your own. Everything that we talk about in Squire Woods here in this woodshed lesson is really commonly used in other tunes. And so learning this piece would be, if you haven't done a lot of Irish harp stuff on guitar, this would be a really good one to start with. It's challenging, but it's gorgeous. It's just a beautiful melody. Thank you, Turlough O'Carolan, for having created it. And thank you all for watching. I hope you take it nice and slow, and I hope to be in the audience someday when you play this. Thanks for being here.